Western and Eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. They searched for days, but over the weekend, the outcome nobody wanted. Police believe it was a missing man they found dead in a creek in Laurel County. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds has the latest.
Today has been more hope than anything. I mean, coming in with the horses and the ATVs and the drones.
That was Tony Gibson's wife, Friday, who was hoping Gibson would be found during a search after he went missing Wednesday.
There's been an extensive search in that area. You know, we wanted to find him.
Police say they were optimistic as well, and the search continued in nearby creeks and ponds over the weekend.
On Sunday afternoon, a ground crew found a male subject in a creek.
The location where the body was found is only a mile away from Gibson's home.
We're relatively sure that's who it is, but we want that confirmation.
Police say these situations are never easy, especially as they talk to the family and feel their concerns while waiting to find loved ones.
It's a tough time, and we, of course, we always hope that we will find them alive, and most of the time we do. This is one of those rare occurrences where we did not, and, you know, it saddens us for the family.
The body was sent Sunday to the state medical examiner's office, where an autopsy was scheduled for Monday. In Laurel County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
The body has not officially been identified yet, nor has a cause of death been released.
And we saw that sunshine return today after a very gloomy weekend. And good news is, well, it's here to stick around at least for a little bit. You'll notice as we take a look at a few of our cameras that sunshine continuing along Interstate 64 in Moorhead. A few clouds in the sky at times, but overall we've seen those beautiful blue skies. And as we look at the National Weather Service in Jackson, you'll notice those blue skies and even the green trees looking very much like spring outside, feeling like it as well. 71 degrees with that dew point at 47 too, feeling like 71. It's very dry air out there. So it's feeling pretty good. If you haven't had the chance to get out today, definitely I recommend doing so. Those temperatures are into those low 70s, maybe even those mid 70s down into the Cumberland Valley. And really compared to this time yesterday, we are about 10 to 12 degrees warmer across eastern Kentucky. And we'll continue to see that warming trend really as we head into your Tuesday and into your Wednesday as well. So sunshine and warmer temperatures really do continue. Of course, those showers and storms are planning to make a comeback. I'll have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right. Thank you, Paige. The Johnson County Sheriff's Department is getting a new cruiser. With help from the fiscal court, the $17,500 grant will be used to purchase the new set of wheels. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher rode around with a deputy today to learn why this is so important.
Seconds mean the most to police officers when responding to a call.
Well, we got to get to the call. That's the main thing.
Deputy Tim Clark began his law enforcement career around 28 years ago.
Near the beginning of my career, I remember when through the government contract price, you could buy a brand new police car somewhere in the ballpark of $12,000 to $14,000.
Now that number has increased, putting a strain on some like the Johnson County Sheriff's Department.
You know, 36, 38. And even in some cases up to $42,000 just for a same type of police vehicle.
With help from the fiscal court, the department received a $17,500 grant.
If they need us and we can't get there, we're not fulfilling our duties.
Sheriff Doug Saylor says this is just the beginning of many grants they hope to receive.
We've already applied for a grant for the tasers. We're in the process of applying for a grant for body armor.
This grant will be spent on a new cruiser.
Some of them have 140, 150, 160,000 miles on them.
Because after all, their top priority is keeping the county safe.
And if we've got vehicles that's not dependable, I mean, they could put a lot of people in danger.
Upgrading their gear to increase safety. In Johnson County, Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
Sheriff Doug Saylor says with help from the fiscal court, they hope to get a new cruiser each year in order to phase out some of their older vehicles. Tonight, a traffic alert for you out of Pike County. If you drive through Coal Run, be on the lookout for road construction. A Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Safety Improvement Project is underway. There are multiple areas throughout that strip of US 23 where workers will be widening areas, adding quick curbs, and increasing roadway lighting. Sarah George with the Transportation Cabinet District 12 asked drivers to use caution through work zones or they can expect a ticket.
We're not going to reduce the speed limit any further in the work zone, but we are going to have police enforcement of the posted speed limit of 45.
George says they hope to keep traffic delays to a minimum. The construction is set to last around 4 months. We have a full list of everything they plan to do on our website. A woman in Laurel County is facing charges tonight after deputies say she made up a story involving a gun. Deputies say they went to check things out after Marilyn Mitchell called in about a disturbance with a gun. When they got there, Mitchell said she hadn't seen a weapon all day. They also realized she was allegedly high. She faces a couple of charges, including falsely reporting an incident. A man in Clay County will wait a little longer to learn his punishment for killing a woman. Earlier this year, Isaiah Stidham pleaded guilty to an amended manslaughter charge. Stidham was originally indicted for murder in the 2015 death of his girlfriend, Sherry Collins. His sentencing is now set for June 3rd. Heavy fog is being blamed for a multi-vehicle crash this morning in Rowan County. It happened just after 7 in the eastbound lanes of I-64. The Farmers Fire Department posted these pictures on Facebook. The scene was cleared and the road reopened around 8:45 this morning. In Rockcastle County, a woman is facing charges after police say she led them to marijuana plants sitting on a windowsill. Officers say they also found 2 containers of marijuana seeds and dozens of prescription pills, none of them in the right container. Jesse Thomas is facing multiple charges because a 5-year-old boy was at the home when officers were there. Thomas's arrest citation says she admitted to knowing about the marijuana but did not know what the pills were for. President Trump is threatening to raise tariffs on China as the two nations are locked in trade negotiations. CBS's Nicole Killian has more from the White House.
President Trump put China on notice Monday, tweeting, "The United States has been losing for many years $600 to $800 billion a year on trade. With China, we lose $500 billion. Sorry, we're not going to be doing that anymore." Over the weekend, the president tweeted the U.S. would increase tariffs from 10% to 25% on $200 billion of Chinese goods on Friday and said there would be additional tariffs on $325 billion in goods. Earlier Monday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo hit China on its trade practices as it relates to countries vying for development in the Arctic.
China is already developing shipping lanes in the Arctic Ocean. This is part of a very familiar pattern. Beijing attempts to develop critical infrastructure using Chinese money, Chinese companies, and Chinese workers, in some cases to establish a permanent Chinese security presence.
The tariffs, threats, and warnings come as the Chinese vice premier and his delegation are expected to head back to Washington for trade talks this week.
Last week, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was in Beijing for negotiations.
The talks were constructive last week. They're hard at it, as you know. We've come a long way.
There were some reports the Chinese considered canceling their trip to Washington after the tariffs tweets. Monday, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said the pressing task at the moment is that the U.S. will work with China to meet each other halfway and strive for a mutually beneficial agreement. The Chinese delegation is preparing to travel to the U.S. for consultations. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
The Dow dropped more than 400 points when it opened today after the president's tariffs announcement. It recovered some of those losses throughout the day. The website PolitiFact says the president's claim that the U.S. loses $500 billion a year in trade with China is mostly false.
And those rain chances have diminished, but the pollen is now going to increase. Tree and grass is high to very high right now. Now, when will we see relief? We'll talk about that and more coming up in just a few short minutes.
He's been away from home for 9 months, serving his country in Kuwait. And today, he wanted to do something really special in surprising his younger sister.
Then at 6, it is the talk not only here in Kentucky, but across the nation. Who should have won the Kentucky Derby? look at the unprecedented disqualification of maximum security and what might come next.
When you see news